How are you? Welcome to my kitchen again. This is the Frugal Gourmet, reminding you that frugal doesn't mean cheap. It means that you don't waste anything. And gourmet means that you love food and wine. That's all there is to it. Today we're going to love omelets. I have a whole bunch ready to go for you, and I think you'll have a good time if you remember some basic things about an omelet. First of all, you've got to have a good pan. Now, I urge you buy a heavy aluminum restaurant pan. This particular model is filled with or covered with a product called Silverstone from DuPont. I far prefer it to Teflon. And it's a good heavy aluminum. Notice it has a metal handle, so you can put it in the oven. You've seen me with this pan before, I'm sure. I love it. I suggest that you do not buy gimmicks like this silly, just incredibly silly thing. I don't know why you would put a hinge in the middle of the pan. Nothing loves to be made love to folded over on top of itself like this. It's crazy. You don't need to do that if you learn how to fold an omelet properly. So first rule, a good pan. This is the same one I use for crepes. Second rule, always have your eggs at room temperature. An egg will blend much better if it isn't ice cold. Leave a dozen out on the counter. You've heard me talk about that before. Nothing to it. So let's get started. Then I'll give you the third rule. Get my pan on here. The third rule is have the pan hot first before you put the oil or the butter in. Remember? There we go. Now while that heats up, we'll prepare our eggs. 3 eggs at room temperature into a bowl. Nothing to this. This is a 3-egg omelet. And if you want to serve these for dinner parties now and then, please simply stop eating so many eggs for breakfast, will you? You should eat more grains for breakfast and that way save your egg intake for some time later on in the day. Now, whip the eggs. And then we're going to add some liquid. And please remember, the fourth big rule about a good omelet, don't ever put milk in an omelet. Ever. Because the milk will not blend with the eggs and it will just begin to run out all over the plate. That's true. My mother used to do that when I was a kid. Would always put milk in an omelet and they would always be watery. So in order to avoid a watery omelet, please put water in it. Yes, you heard me. In order to avoid a watery omelet, please put water in it, not milk, because the water will blend with the eggs. You want 2 tablespoons of water. I've already whipped it in, you see, into 3 eggs whipped up. Okay, now, the next thing we want to do is to talk about lubricating the pan. I'm going to use a tad of butter and a little bit of peanut oil. And I do that. I use both because I want the flavor of the butter, but I don't want to burn the butter. It'll darken the omelet, you see. So we raise the possibility of the butter, the ability to withstand heat, by adding a bit of peanut oil, because peanut oil will withstand incredible heat. So about a half tablespoon of butter into the hot pan. That should begin to melt immediately. And then we'll add a shot of peanut oil. About a tablespoon again. That's plenty. A little less than a tablespoon, huh? Now I'm going to put my eggs in right away. You notice I haven't put any salt and pepper in the eggs. Do you know why? Well, because salt will dry out the egg. You don't want to put the salt in the egg. You want to put the salt on top. Nothing to it. Whip up your eggs in water again. In they go. As soon as the butter subsides, the foam subsides, you see, and let them cook for a minute here, and it'll begin to swell up and puff up beautifully. You got the rules now? Your eggs at room temperature, your good pan, Silverstone line preferably. Thirdly, do not put milk in an omelet, but only water, and you'll have a much better amount of luck at it. And fourthly, please don't put salt in the omelet until it's just about finished. Now, you see how it's beginning to puff up around the sides. My pan isn't quite hot enough yet, but we'll have better luck in the next one. And you want to lift the edge of the omelet now and slide the excess moisture right underneath the bottom. That's all there is to it. You're going to have a great omelet. I think you should be a great omelet cooker and nothing flat. My sons both love to make omelets. And I have little children write in letters. By little, I mean 7- and 8-year-olds write in and tell me that they have such a good time making omelets. I think that's terrific. You see, that should always be loose in the pan, you see? If it isn't loose in the pan, then you pick this thing up. You pick this up and you bang it against the wall with a big whonk on the wall, you see? And it'll move right away. See what happens? You see it move? Okay. Now, let's decide on a filling. If you don't like your omelet too moist, well, you can take out a little more moisture there. I enjoy mine nice and moist in the center. For this first one, I think I would like to do Swiss cheese and sour cream. What you want to do is to put the, oh boy, this is going to be fattening, huh? Put the filling in the front half of the pan. You see what I've done? Here's the pan divided in half, handles in the back, so you put the filling in the front half. And now we'll put some Swiss cheese on this. It'll melt beautifully. How about a little bit of parsley? Now it's time for the salt and pepper. Just a smidgen of salt. Don't put too much in. You won't need it at all. Then I'll show you how to fold this. That's the next big clue here to making a good omelet. All right? One plate. We're ready to go. Hold the pan thusly. Slide the omelet right out. Let it grab the plate just a bit, you see? See how it's holding onto the plate now? And then up and over the top. There it is. Isn't that gorgeous? Easy to do and absolutely delicious. Now, in order to remember what's in there, I'm going to put a little bit of Swiss cheese on top, along with some parsley. There. And we're going to start making just stacks and stacks of delicious omelets. You can put all sorts of things in an omelet. There. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Let's see, what's the next one we're going to do here? I've got a whole bunch of them ready for you. Oh, mushroom omelet. I'm going to do some fillings for you now. We want to make the fillings first before you do the omelet, of course. So I've got some mushrooms going up here. And I have some apples back here for my son's favorite omelet. Channing is 15 now by the time you're with us. He's 15 years old now, and he's still he's getting more and more into cooking. And every once in a while, I'll find him down in the kitchen making this delicious apple omelet. He thinks he invented the recipe because I taught him how to do it when he was about 4 years old, and now he thinks it's his dish. So that's all right with me. I love it. Let's do the mushroom one first. The mushroom. Let's see. I will use this one. That's okay. The mushrooms are in the pan. I have a little bit of onion and mushroom melted in a bit of butter, and to that I'm going to add a pinch of nutmeg, if I can find it. Here it is. Just a tiny bit of nutmeg. The pan's getting too hot here. A little bit of nutmeg. I'm grinding mine from a little nutmeg shaver. You ever seen one of these? Marvelous gadget. This works great. And I want to add a bit of salt and pepper, just a smidgen to my filling. There we go. This is mushrooms and onions cooked in butter. And then we're going to add a smidgen of lemon juice. Let's see. Where's my knife here? There we go. Lemon juice and a shot of vermouth. Vermouth, yes, dry vermouth, makes a delicious flavor for mushroom filling. Okay, that one's done. Let that simmer for a bit. Now this next one is an apple omelet. And you're going to have a good time with this one. This is Channing's favorite. So I have in the apple a little apple sliced up, cored and sliced up, cooking a little bit of butter. And to that I want to add a bit of cinnamon, just a smidgen. That's plenty. And a pinch of sugar. There we go. And some brandy. Your 15-year-old uses brandy in his cooking? Yes, of course he does. But remember that when you cook something, why, with brandy, it'll cook the alcohol out, so don't worry about it. If you want to flame it, you can do it this way. There, you see, there goes the alcohol. It's gone. All right, we're ready. Let's go back to the omelets. Heat your pan first. Now, don't laugh at this next trick, because I have the eggs already broken into a glass jar, you see, and I'm just going to begin whipping up eggs 3 at a time. And I'm afraid one of you is going to say, Agnes, where does he get his eggs already cracked in jars? Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. All right, now we want, remember, 3 eggs and 2 tablespoons of water. You whip up your eggs first so that your water will blend. And I just use a fork. You don't need anything fancy, for heaven's sakes. And we'll put a little bit of butter in our pan. A bit of peanut oil so that it doesn't burn. And we're ready. Now watch what's going to happen here. You see, the minute the butter stops bubbling, there, you see one little bit left. Come on, calm down. There. What we're doing is waiting for the water to cook out. Now we'll put in our omelet. And that one will be ready in just a minute here. This is the mushroom omelet that we're doing. He's all ready to go. You see how it puffs up on the side? The pan's hotter now and it's working much better, you see? Temperature is very important for a good omelet. If you cook it too slow, it's going to be tough. And don't you hate those omelets you get in restaurants? They make a batter, and then they pour it onto a griddle, and they make a great big enormous egg pancake, and then they just fold up all sorts of stuff in the middle. I don't like them at all. And they really shouldn't be called an omelet, because they're not an omelet. Not an omelet. We're going to loosen that. There we go. Okay, let's get ready with the filling. Let that just barely cook down a little bit more here. I'm going to turn down the heat now while I put the filling on. We don't brown it too much. Tiny bit of salt. Now remember, the salt goes in last. You don't put the salt into the egg. You don't mix it in at all because it will toughen the egg. And now the mushrooms. Front half of the omelet. Mushrooms with onion, tiny bit of nutmeg, salt and pepper, shot of lemon juice, and some dry vermouth. Oh, you're going to love this one. And now the big fold, all right? Whoops, I've got to save one mushroom so I'll remember what's in the omelet. And we'll slide him out thusly, you see? And then fold it over on the top. You see? Of all of the things that I've taught people in the years I've been teaching cooking classes, the folding an omelet seems to excite them the most because they think it's very complicated. And of course it's not complicated, and I want you to know that you can do it too with very little practice. There we go. Let's put a sprig of parsley on that one. There we go. Anything for color. I put a mushroom on top so I'd remember what's in here. Yes, you could have an omelet party. You'd have a great time. Have everyone come in and help, and they could make all sorts of marvelous omelets. All right, the pan's hot. Let's get going on the third one. Remember, we have the apples already. And an apple omelet is great for a dinner party. It's great for breakfast. It's just a terrific thing. It's kind of a cross between a dessert omelet and a dinner omelet. If you want to make dessert omelets, I suggest you simply put sour cream and jam of any sort into the omelet. There we are. 3 eggs at room temperature. 2 tablespoons of water. Now we'll put a shot of butter into our hot pan. Now if the butter blackens, if the butter turns very dark, then you've blown it. And don't try and save it. You've burned the milk solids in the butter. That's what I want to say. And I'm going to do that if I don't hustle here. There we go. That's how you make clarified butter. Did you know that? You melt the butter down until the milk solids can separate. And then butter will keep much longer that way. That's what they do in India to make something called ghee for cooking. You get rid of the milk solids and it'll hold up a lot longer. There we go. That's one working nicely. Come on, hurry along. The apples are all ready. Remember, make your fillings first because you can't stop anywhere in this process and go prepare a filling. You see, that has to be done ahead of time. Isn't this fun? Are you getting hungry? Tough. I love it. I want you to get a good pan and get started on omelets. They're so much fun. And they're just great for dinner party. What's a dinner party? I'm always talking about a dinner party. I mean, anytime someone's at your table, anytime you have someone over for a meal, your own kids, fine. Anybody, whoever it is,